All right. Welcome to Office Hours, everybody. June 4th, 2021. Thank you so much for being here. And appreciate your being a part of the community and hope we can knock out some questions, get rid of some roadblocks, and help you guys out here today. So happy Friday. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let me just check here. I got a couple of high level messages, which usually means people are okay, cool. Um, Good. Just want to make sure people are able to get on the call, but we've got a good group here, so it looks like technology is working. So we'll go ahead and get rolling. First here, Timothy Miller with the hand raise. Go ahead, Timothy. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank you for getting Sean on the call the other day. That was awesome.
Oh, good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was awesome. It's he's so dang busy at this point, as you guys can imagine. They are just growing like a weed, and last I heard, I think they're coming up on 200 employees now and all that stuff. So really just going like crazy. So anytime that we can get that dedicated time to pick his brain, it's always worth it. So I'm glad you were able to join. All right, let's see here. Troy Warren. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so Troy had contacted me earlier this week and was wondering about this concept of snapshots and how you use those in high level. So let me go ahead and give you an overview, and then Troy, happy to discuss any specific questions that you have as well here to try and really knock it out. But just so everybody's on the same page as to what we're referring to here, uh, the system that we're talking about working in is called High Level. A lot of people on this call are high level customers. And High Level is specifically a sales and marketing platform and service delivery platform for those in the agency business, or as I would prefer to refer to it, as the in the marketing services business. And so High Level is specifically designed for people in that industry. So for those of you who are watching this or attending this that are from a different industry, that's what we're referring to. And snapshots are a way in High Level that you can essentially take a picture, if you will, a snapshot of the configuration settings and the assets that you have built into a particular account in High Level, so that you can then take that picture and install it into a new account with all of those same configurations and assets, so that you don't have to manually go through and install all those things again from scratch. This is a really attractive feature of the platform because it makes it so that you can pretty darn easily scale out your services. So, as an example, if I created a marketing system for restaurants, and that marketing system included landing pages and follow up campaigns, and I found that there were certain people that or certain uh, settings that I wanted for the employees of the restaurant that were, using that system. And so I got High Level just all dialed in the way that I want it. So when a customer accesses it, they have everything that I want. And really, for every new restaurant that I set up, it's 90% the exact same setup. And so what I can do then is create my restaurant marketing snapshot, take a picture of it, sell my system to new restaurants, and then boom, I just install that and we're off to the races. Do a little bit of customization, we're off to the races. So that's why it is a really attractive and powerful feature for anybody that is in this whole kind of marketing services space. So let me go ahead real quick and jump into my High Level account here. And I can show some, yeah, hold on one second here. Let me just stop that and I will get logged into my proper spot so that way we can show you all the good stuff. Hold on one second here. Let me just do this and I'll share my screen again. Oh, shoot. Signed into the wrong one again. I'm sorry, guys. I have a whole bunch of High Level accounts with the different things that I'm involved in, and testing and things like that. So let me just get into the right one here. And should be okay. Good, good, good. And all right. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen again here. So, okay, so I am in high level here at my agency account level. Okay, and so you can see here in the agency account level at settings right here, and then up top, you can see account snapshot. Okay, and that should really be snapshots plural, because what you see in here now is all of my snapshots, any snapshots that I've imported. So anybody, can create my friend Rob Bailey has this nurture and close snapshot. So I can import that into my accounts. And then there's default snapshots that are also included from high level. And then actually high level has a marketplace of snapshots, that you can grab various snapshots for different industries and circumstances from them. So these are all snapshots that I have created, Troy. And so the way that you create a snapshot, if I were to go up here to the switch to account, you're going to see that I have all of these locations or accounts set up in high level. And so in a particular account, I would set it up exactly the way that I want it. I would have all the configurations, all the assets, everything in there exactly the way that I want it. And then I would come back here to this agency level and I would say create new snapshot. So I go up here to create new snapshot and it'll say give it a name. So I'll just call it test. And then it'll say, okay, what account do you want to take this snapshot from? And so I would pick an account and I would hit save. Okay, so now it is creating a snapshot of that particular account. Okay, and so you'll see here, it'll take a little bit of time to do it. And then once it's done, I will have a snapshot. So you can see right here, I have the test snapshot now. And I have then these various little button options here that you can see here. So one is I can delete the snapshot, which is a little trash can button. Two is I can edit. And then what is this one? This one is push an update to linked accounts. Okay, this is a really important one, Troy and others. So if you have accounts on your system here, so on your system, if you have sub accounts set up and they are utilizing a particular snapshot, you can hit this little update button and you can push updates to those accounts on your system. Okay, so if Troy were to set up 100 different restaurants on his platform here, and each one of them were using his restaurant snapshot, then he could just press this button and the updates that he created in the snapshot would then go out to all of those accounts. So that's a very, again, scalability of service delivery. That's a fantastic way to get your service updates out to a bunch of customers. Then there's refresh. So if you made changes to your snapshot and you wanted to then refresh the snapshot so that it's current with the changes that you created, you'd hit refresh. And then there's this share option here. So the share option, you can get a link to share. So you can get a share link, email link, permanent link, and this will give you a link that you can then give to people so that they could download your snapshot into their account. Okay, so if they had a high level account, you wanted to share it with them that way, then they could download it that way. Okay, now let's just say that Troy is setting up, again, customers on his system. He's setting up all these restaurants or whatever on his system, and he wants to make sure that they all have the right snapshot. Then now I'm in Bob's Test Business. So I'm just in one of my sub accounts here, one of my locations. Okay. And so if I want to make sure that Bob's Test Business has the snapshot that I was just referring to, Then I can go in here. So I'm back in the agency view now, and I'm here where I can see my accounts. Okay, on the left-hand side, I can see all the sub accounts that are associated with it. So I can pick one of these sub accounts, and there's Bob's Test Business, and I can click on these three little buttons right here. Oh no, hold on here. Where's that at? I always get confused as where I do this. Is it view details, or maybe it's switched to account? Oh no, view details. And then I go up here to this actions button. So you can see here I'm in Bob's Test Business, and I'm in this actions button, and then I could do load snapshot. So I could say, hey, I want to apply a particular snapshot to this account. So I can go right here and I can pick what snapshot I want to apply to it. And then when I do that, it's actually pretty darn cool. So what it's going to do is it's going to take me through a process here where it's going to say, hey, Troy, did you really want to apply all this stuff? Or did you only want to apply certain stuff? So it's going to give you the opportunity. And it's going to say, hey, look, we found a bunch of other assets in here already. Are you sure you want to overwrite those, or do you want to skip certain things? And you can go individually and pick what you want. So you can get really darn granular with this. But if you were starting with a brand new account, then you would just load your snapshot in and say, hey, take all the assets. Okay. So that's how you do it. Now, the really cool new feature that just came out here recently is the SaaS builder and the SaaS configurator here. So with the SaaS platform, what you can do is you can create packages that have a particular snapshot associated with it. So if Troy created 3 different packages and they had 3 different snapshots, depending on how much somebody was paying them each month, then you could associate a particular snapshot with each package. And then when somebody goes in and buys that package, the snapshot would automatically be loaded into their account when they put in their credit card and pay. So again, it's just removing, manual steps from your process of service delivery. Once somebody just gets on there and buys, that snapshot is then automatically applied to that account. So snapshots are super, super powerful. Snapshots plus the SaaS configurator here just make it a really, really scalable way of designing and delivering services to your customers. Troy, did that answer your questions? Anything else that I can answer for you? Feel free to unmute yourself.
It totally is crystal clear now. And
Cool.
so the only thing I would add to that, so I'm part of the Leverage Academy. So
Mm-hmm.
you have snapshots in there that I can download. Then, like what you were showing just a few minutes ago, that I could grab that and share it into my high level account.
Correct. Yeah. So let me go ahead and show you that real quick. If you go into, let's see here, if we go to my courses and we go to the Services That Scale Mastermind, which you have access to, Troy, and anybody, just so we're clear, anybody who has signed up through for high level through me, you have access to this as well. I get paid an affiliate commission from high level, and so I give you access to all this stuff at no cost. And so if you go in here into the mastermind, you will see there's a couple different places where you can get these, but each of these has a snapshot associated with it, Troy. And then I also have some other snapshots that are more general, like sales snapshots and things like that. So in case you didn't see where I just clicked on that, right here under resources, you'll see snapshot downloads. And so each of these is a snapshot that you could download. Okay. And so what I highly recommend for you, Troy, and for anybody else is set up a dummy sub account on high level. So create a new sub account that's just a dummy one. You can have unlimited accounts, so don't worry about it. And I would download these, which only download the ones that you think you need. Like, oh yeah, I think I need this cold prospecting campaigns. Create a sub account called, cold prospecting campaign snapshot from Mike Cooch or from Leverage or from Digital Marketing Lab, whatever you want to do. And then download just that snapshot in there. so that you can clearly see what it is that you got and determine, do I want all of that? Do I only want some of it? Because what can happen really easily in high level with all these snapshots, it's amazing. You can get all these resources so easily. But if you just go loading them into an account, next thing you know, you're going to have so many things in there and you're not going to sure which ones are related to which and how they work and all that. And it's a big disaster. And I know because this is what I did when I first got into high level. And so you don't want to make that mistake. So create a dummy account. Like I said, you can have as many accounts as you want, so don't worry about it. Put the stuff in there. And then the really cool thing is, I'll just take this one step further just to make sure everybody knows kind of a best practice. So let's just go to one of my accounts. So I'm going to go to Bob's Test, or yeah, I'll go to Bob's Test Business. And so let's go in here and let's say that I'm sure I've got some stuff in here. Yeah. So let's say that I really liked these service prospecting campaigns. Okay. But everything else that came with this, I don't need, I already have it, whatever. Right. So instead of, re-downloading everything or whatever, what you can do, another really just handy feature of high level is that you can just copy individual assets into another account very easily. Okay, so I like this inaccurate citations campaign. I click on that. I go, yep, I'd really like this campaign in my other account, in my main account. Go up here to actions, go copy campaign, and then just pick where you want to put it. I'd like that over in Digital Marketing Lab or in my for testing snapshot campaign, and hit copy. And now just that campaign will get moved over. So if you don't want all of the other assets of that snapshot, you can just kind of go through here and just quickly pick and choose. Okay, move this one over, move this one over, move this one over. Great. Now I can delete the rest of that snapshot. I don't need it, junking up my account. Cool.
That's totally crystal clear now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Now I totally get it. The sun's out now.
That's awesome. Good. Yeah, high level is a platform that you gotta dig into it to fully understand it and understand how to use it. But once you do, the cool thing is, then your wheels start really get spinning because it's like, oh, well, now I can make some magic happen in here. And it is, really powerful. So awesome. Well, Troy, just let me know if you have any additional challenges with that. I'm happy to help.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Mike says, just finished putting my pricing packages on all my websites. Just what I was looking for. That's awesome, Mike. Very good. Anand says, I'm new to this call, joined through Leverage. I'm a new agency and I'm stuck on what Leverage service I can start with. Awesome. Anand, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you can unmute yourself. Mm-hmm. Cool. Hey. So, congrats on new business. That's fantastic. And I know that can be also overwhelming on where to start and all that good stuff. Let me ask, have you picked a particular market or customer that you're planning on going after?
That's the thing. So I come from a consulting background. So before I saw your, I think digital marketing, that's where I got to know you. Before that, I was thinking I would probably, get into building funnel as a service, primarily for experts. So that's where my focus was on, and that's where I was going towards.
Okay.
But what I'm realizing is the easiest way to get off the ground is to have small packages offered, which would hit the market fast and will help me hit the ground running than going big bang. In that context, I'm confused between, hey, this is what I was looking at, and now if it's a small business, so I'm kind of that was the product fit is where I'm struggling.
Okay, cool. So for experts, there's if you looked at that category broadly and said experts could be digital product creators, they could be speakers, they could be consultants, right? I mean, really anybody who's a professional, I would argue, should have an online presence that they own and control and have some sort of lead generation capability to it. And most people just don't think that way, right? Particularly people who are employees and have that employee mindset. They're not thinking of themselves as a free agent. Whereas the reality is, in today's world, we're all free agents, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you had a coach guiding you on your career from day one, they would tell you, "Hey, Mike, think of yourself as an asset, like an NBA player or an NFL player, right? And you want to maximize the value of that NBA player or that NFL player. Well, then there are certain things that you should do, and it doesn't matter what team you're currently playing on. You want to maximize your value. And so, what are those things that you should do? Well, you should build up your personal reputation. You should build a list of contacts of people that you can keep in touch with and share your expertise with and let them know updates about your career. Just marketing 101. But most people do not think that way, one, and even most experts are not necessarily thinking that way and being disciplined about building their lists and stuff. So, just top of my head, if I were thinking about that marketplace from kind of a general perspective, I think that there is a very simple website template that you could come up with for experts that is, hey, we want to make sure you've got a good home base to establish, your web presence and show your profile and who you are and what you do. So a website as a service, I think, is a great service. Some sort of lead generation funnel, I think, is an excellent service, again, and for any expert. So just something where you're going to make sure that they're capturing contacts to keep in touch with. Some sort of regular, consistent follow-up campaign or newsletter campaign where you're keeping in touch with that list and saying, hey, here's the updates. Here's what I'm an expert in and the types of services I can offer. So just kind of basic nurturing and updates. And then, gosh, just from the kind of menu of services that I love for people to make sure that they have turned on or accessing, reputation would be a fantastic one for any experts, right? Here's what my previous customers or colleagues or whatever, say about me. So have those reviews get published and published on their website. And then welcome mat service. So the welcome mat service is just a basic lead capture from existing traffic. If you go to any of my sales pages, you'll see that little chat widget pop up. That's a lead capture. So that right there is a whole host of services that you could turn on for any expert and make it just like stupid simple for them to turn on. And that is a huge marketplace and a huge opportunity. Does that make sense to you? Does that help you?
It does. It does. So the only reason I had the conflict was because I know you propagate that you in your website, you like one of the gentlemen you mentioned earlier, you have the prices marked against the services you offer.
Yep.
Do I go the same way, even because what I'm seeing on this side of the market, because I've been exposed more to this, is they don't publish the prices on the website. So is that something that
Yeah, don't pay attention to them.
I like that?
Yeah, I mean, this definitely goes to kind of philosophy and approach. But I um, I I just, when you're selling to smaller businesses, it is my experience over and over and over again that if you put prices up on your website, put simple packages up on your website, that you are going to sell more. You're going to sell more efficiently. You're going to sell at lower cost than those who are not. You're going to sell with automation instead of having to go through as many phone calls and proposal processes. I've done a whole lot of this, and I will argue that until I'm blue in the face. So I know there are other people's calls that you could hop on after this one, and they're going to tell you different. But so long as you're listening to me, that's what you're going to hear.
No, I think I'm sold.
Cool. So
Uh,
one of the things that I just wanted to go back to here real quick and on is, that set of services that I just laid out is actually just very simple, very basic. And one of the things that us, kind of agency or marketing expert people get in our head is that we have to make things more sophisticated, more complex. We have to get more results for our customers. And I'm telling you that the best businesses just keep it so simple. And this Substack is a great reminder of this for me. And there's a bunch of services that are out there like this, where Substack essentially just look at this, just start a newsletter, right? And make money from subscriptions. Like that's all it is. And this business has exploded in the last 2 years because they just made it very easy for you to start a newsletter and charge people subscriptions for that newsletter. And they charge you way too much from my perspective for what they're offering. But that's because I know how to start a newsletter. I know how to set up a subscription billing system. I know how to tie those things together. And so when I look at their pricing model, I go, well, these people are getting ripped off. But if you're an expert and you don't know anything about this marketing technology stuff, and you're like, man, I just know I need to have a newsletter because newsletters are really profitable and really scalable. I've heard it from everybody, and I need to be able to charge people for my newsletter. Substack is a very, very easy answer that they've just made it stupid simple to get started. You get a little profile, you get a little newsletter, you get a little opt-in form, and the ability to charge. And it makes it very, very simple. And I wonder if I can even find their pricing. Yeah, why go paid or but the point is they've just made it really simple. And for the far, far, far majority of experts out there that need to start a newsletter, they just need simple. And so if you were able to put up a very simple kind of representation of what we talked about, are you an expert that needs to build your online profile and build your community and make sure that you're following up with your prospects, successfully? Like, here it is. You get this website template, you get this list builder, and you get the ability to keep in touch with your prospects using this, email marketing or SMS marketing or Facebook messaging system or whatever you want to do. Plus, you're regularly capturing reviews and building your reputation. And you just make it stupid simple to sign up using, high level, using that package configurator. It does not have to be any more complicated than that. And it's a huge, very clear value proposition for the right person. Does that make sense?
Yes, Mike. Just one quick question.
Of course.
Just the earlier topic.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately I signed up for the high level account earlier, so I could not upgrade on your final page. But can I enroll into your services at scale mastermind separately? So
Yes, you can.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can just enroll in it directly. Here, hold on, I can just grab the discounted link here real quick. Get to that. There we go. Sorry, my computer's being slow here. And let's see here. I think that this should do it for you. I'll just put in that link. That should be the discounted price for you.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Any other questions before I move on to the next person? Okay, cool. Bart says, where are the launch sheets located? Yeah, Bart, I told you yesterday I was going to put those in the membership area for you, and I didn't. They are in the Services That Scale Mastermind Facebook group. And I can go ahead and share that with you here real quick too. There you go, Bart. I just sent that to you. Let's see here. Question. Yes, Howard, go for it.
Okay. I noticed on the SaaS configurator, they sort of had opportunities and CRMs as two separate items. Am I missing something? Is there any difference?
Okay, say it again here real quick. They have what as two separate
On
items?
the SaaS configurator,
Uh-huh.
it was opportunities and CRM was two different feature listings.
Okay. That
I thought
may
that was the
be.
same thing.
Well, so I think that they are confused there and how they refer to their yeah, in terms of how they refer to some of their features. I think that they are uh, a little bit, like I said, a little bit confused and confusing in terms of their language. But let me look at real quick. If I go into an account, Bob's Test Business here. Let me hit. I'll share my screen here real quick. See what I'm doing. I'll go into settings for this account and let's take a look at if I go to team management here and go to actually we're changing this. We've changed this on me since I started, but hold on, let me just check here. Yeah, so user permissions. If I look at these user permissions, they have opportunities. Yes, so they have that opportunity funnel as distinct and separate from contacts and conversations. So yes, so
But are they considering, what are they, I thought opportunities was the pipeline functions. That's the sort of the CRM, right? But I guess
well,
it's all interwoven with conversations and contacts.
yeah, so this is where I think that they're confusing in their language a bit here. So I would say that most CRM platforms, if you were to go look at a CRM platform like was calling it Pipe Drive or Salesforce or
Mhm.
whatever, that you would have your opportunities and your contacts and all that stuff that would all be included as CRM. So what they are giving you the ability to do here, though, is that you could separate those things out so that you could say, hey, Howard, you have access to manage all the contacts that come in and have conversations with them and do all that in the universal inbox, that type of thing. And if you'd like to upgrade to our, next up plan, we can also give you pipeline management where you can associate specific deals and opportunities to those particular customers and manage your pipeline of opportunities. So those are two distinct features. I just think that, like you said, most businesses that use the language CRM have all of that together, but they're giving you the opportunity to separate that out.
Okay, well, in a related question, the SaaS configurator is, do we have the ability to add in our own unique services to that? Because I have couple services I'm looking to add in as value add that are not part of high level.
Mhm.
And it doesn't, is there a custom service add on that configurator?
Well, so it's really important to keep in mind here. Okay, it's really important to keep in mind that SaaS configurator and the packages that you're creating there are not publicly visible. So when you create this package and give it whatever price you're going to give it, that's not a publicly visible thing.
Yeah, but when they pay, then it comes up, they're choosing their plan. And then it is publicly visible.
Yes. So, well, publicly visible, not with all of these details, though. Correct?
No, from one of the demo Loom videos I saw, I think Sean made, he was showing, okay, you've configured it. Now you're clicking on the buy now or whatever it is, and a pop-up comes up and it has, choose your plan, and it has the features laid out.
I'll have to take a look at it because my understanding was that was separate. And I'm in the process of building out my first stuff right now as we speak. So I'd have to take a look at it. Because my understanding was that that was separate. So what I was going to say is that, like, on your website, Howard, where you have your packages laid out, you could have package A, and you'll list all the features you want and the price point that you want, and then they go to buy it, and the high level part of it will provision what it's going to provision, But no, right now there's not the ability to just add custom lines in here. I do think that that is something that they're planning on doing.
Mhm.
But right now that is not in there.
Okay. Um, and one other thing I wanted to make mention of that might be helpful for everybody here.
Mhm.
When I was doing my trade show setups and campaigns, I started using the workflow builder for the first time, and there was a couple of things that were a little confusing, so I abandoned using that and just made it in the regular campaign builder. And what happened was, uh, the certain actions triggered both campaigns, the workflow builder and the campaign builder. So sometimes in some tests, I was getting two separate emails or two separate SMSs. One where I had edited the email or the SMS reply, and another one where it was an older one. I hadn't tweaked that one, so I was getting conflicting things. I didn't realize where that was coming from, and I got Robin on the phone, and he sort of showed me that what was going on with that, and really he's trying to sort of phase out the campaign builder part of it, and then just go with the workflow.
Yeah.
And so that was something that dip into the workflow builder and just get used to it. I don't know. It might be confusing for our customers, if they see campaigns and they start working in that, and then it's the workflow builder. It's going to confuse them, and I'm concerned that that my customers are not going to consume and use the material, especially I'm seeing that a lot of the bigger firms that I'm targeting already have some sort of CRM. They already have a similar system in place, and to get them to switch over, it could be a challenge.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's a couple of things that you said there. It's kind of two separate things. One is if you're using the workflow builder was an addition after after the triggers and campaigns, which have always been a part of the system, but the workflows allow you to connect triggers and campaigns and all kinds of other things into this visual format where you can see everything that's going on. But yes, if you have already created triggers and those are active, and then you have workflows and those are active, and those active workflows also have those triggers and those campaigns in them, then you're going to have dual things going on there potentially in parallel that could be overlapping and causing multiple messages getting sent. So yes, if you are using a workflow, you want to make sure that you know any triggers that were existing that could conflict or overlap or whatever, so that you have real clarity as to what's doing what. And then in most cases you'll probably turn off a trigger that you don't need anymore once you activate your workflow, things like that. I actually hope that he keeps all those things separate, and it's just everybody learns the clarity of what's what, because it actually gives you more options and it's more powerful, but it does take a little bit more of a learning curve. And then the second thing.
One thing before we leave that topic, can we on the the screen where we're choosing what to enable and disable, is the campaign builder separately disableable, if that's a word, as opposed to disabling the whole marketing category?
So no, you have the
Yeah,
marketing.
it looks like it.
Yeah, oh no, you can. You're right. Yeah, campaigns. Yep, you sure can.
Okay.
You can turn off campaigns. You can turn off triggers. And so that was the thing, and workflows, right? All of those can be separately turned on and off.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a very important thing. And what I would say, Howard, is the answer to your second question. Well, actually, there's three things that you said that were really important. One, you said you're worried about your customers getting in here and not understanding how to use things and screwing things up. Absolutely. Absolutely, that's going to be the case. If you just leave those capabilities up to them, you're gonna find yourself in a world of hurt. And this is where you have to learn to lock down exactly what you're offering to your customers. Because, and especially Howard, I know going after the market that you're going after, what you want to give them is stuff that is already pre-built as much as possible, just requires a little bit of customization, and then it just runs on their behalf. So they don't need to have access to go in and do those things, most of them. And as you know, like I have Follow Up Genius in partnership with Billy Jean, and we give them a whole bunch of campaign templates that are pretty much set. And then for the most part, we lock a lot of other things down. And those are people who are marketing entrepreneurs, and we still lock a lot of other things down because it just causes problems if you don't. So you're going to have to figure out that degree of what you lock down and what you don't, how much support it creates for you, all that type of stuff. But that's a very important thing to be aware of, and a very important thing to make deliberate decisions about in your service. The third thing that you said there was it's going to be hard to get people to migrate from here to there. Yes. Okay. If you are selling, again, the more complex your system, the more complex your offer, the longer the sales cycle, okay, and the slower and more expensive it is to get somebody to make that sale and come over. So as much as possible, I encourage you to look for opportunities to have some sort of service, a foot in the door service that is not the whole shebang, right? So that you can get a relationship with them and then start having them exposed to, oh, okay, maybe I should use this other stuff too. But at least you've got something that's generating revenue and you've got a customer relationship going. Yes, I mean that's why if you look at HubSpot, HubSpot's cost of customer acquisition is $10,000 plus, but that's because those customers are $2,500 a month, right? So the payback period is still not that bad. But when you have a $2,500 a month customer, that means they're probably migrating everything from Infusionsoft and whatever. Maybe they've got 3 different systems, and there's an import process, and we've got to take all your customer data and all your campaigns and put them in over here and all that. It's a total pain in the neck. The great thing is when you do that, that customer is probably yours for the next 5 years or more, unless you really badly screw something up. So that's the awesome thing about it. So, the answer is yes. It will be difficult and slow if your value proposition is a complete system, and it's also very valuable. And so, it's an ROI thing that it's still worth it putting in the effort, even though it's a difficult transition, as long as that's the business you want to have and what you want to sign up for.
Can they still do SMS blasts and email blasts without having the campaign builder up?
Yeah, without having the campaign builder up. I mean, I have not sat down and tested that specifically. But I believe so, because you can just go into the contacts, search your contacts and shoot out a message right from there. So should be able to just fine.
Because if we're gonna have pre-done campaigns, it's gonna be a workflow builder. And the only way they can customize it is to get into workflow builder and, do that. So, I think it's gonna behoove us to have to learn this thing on ourselves, because I was thinking, oh, I'll white label, blah, blah, blah. I'll hire a guy that knows how to do all the crap. No, it goes back to my days as the outsourcer. And,
Yeah.
the thing was, is how the question was, how much do I have to know to outsource it? And the thing is, the more you know, the better you're going to be able to hire and be able to know if someone's doing a good job for you and help them along when they get stuck. So unfortunately, the bad news is we're going to have to really get our hands dirty, just like as you're doing here, showing us, and you show us you really are good at demonstrating the functions too.
Thank you.
So we're going to have to, be Mike Cooch clones here and, be able to get in there and instruct. And we're going to
Yep.
probably need to do weekly calls or, that kind of thing to coach them through, to keep them engaged and involved and working through any tech overwhelm and problems that they encounter. I mean, given as much as I know high level with the workflow builder, there was a few twists and turns there that I didn't get right off the bat. So
Totally.
that's my 2 cents there.
No, and your 2 cents is worth several dollars. I mean that is it's a super super important lesson for anybody in this business to understand. You've got to dive in. I did a deep dive into high level for 6 months before I started sharing it with you guys, because it was complex and I was like, I have to be using this. I have all of my businesses using high level now, so I don't have any choice. I mean, I'm in there all day, every day. And that is the right way to go about it. And I can tell you a couple of things on that, Howard. One, if this is just a general lesson for entrepreneurship, anybody here who is an entrepreneur, if you are not going to take the mindset of digging in and really knowing your own product, you are so vulnerable. It's ridiculous. I mean, you are just 1 month away from somebody coming and kicking the snot out of you in the marketplace. That's just reality. If you're not going to dig in and know your stuff inside and out, you're vulnerable to competition. And as you start to scale, you're vulnerable to employees, because you're going to hire employees, you're going to hire outsourcers, employees, whatever it is. And you're just going to be like, oh, you take care of all that stuff. I don't understand any of that. Right. And to a degree, as you scale, if you're the CEO, to a degree, you have to do that. You have to not have your hands in the weeds all day, every day. But you've got to know your stuff. Otherwise, when that employee that you hired to be your high level guru decides to either drop off the face of the earth, one, or two, tells you, no, we can't do something this way or that way, and then you're beholden to him, and that guy could be feeding you a line of BS, or just he doesn't know the system inside and out, or whatever, right? I know this because I used to be an IT CEO, built up a good sized business. And when I started that business, I couldn't fix a computer if my life depended on it. There's no way. And I still couldn't fix a computer if my life depended on it. But I learned the technology and I learned the language and I learned a logical process to be able to question any IT person that was feeding me whatever information, that I could challenge them and find out the real answers to a situation, even if I didn't know the technology, like hands-on bits and bytes, what to do. So you've got to have mental ownership of whatever it is that you're going to be in business about, or you're in trouble. You're vulnerable. So yes, if you are going to be in this business, dig in. I know there's so many people out there, and it horrifies me, that just want the easy button. No, can't I just, you just tell me what to sell and I'll just sell it. No, I can't. I mean, who are you selling to? What's your value proposition going to be? How are you going to stand out from the competition? How are you going to deliver that and make those customers stick? Like, I can generally give you advice, just like I did for Anand earlier. but now he needs to dig in and really understand the specifics of what he's going to deliver and set it all up. And so the second thing that I would say about that whole thing is it's very important for everybody to understand, anybody who's using High Level in particular, that it's a canvas. They're adding new features to it every day, all day, every day, you know? It is, you need to think about it as this like a moldable piece of clay. And you don't need to take the whole block of clay and dump it down on your customers and go, there you go, right? You can say, you know what? I'm going to offer these customers just these 3 website templates, these 5 follow-up campaigns, and this opt-in form, and that's it. That is my service. That's it. It's a $97 a month service, and that's it. And if they want any customizations, they have to put in a ticket to our team, and our team does the customization for them so that they don't have any access to screw with anything or whatever. You can set up your service that way. So once you design the specifics of your services, you should close off. It's all about the boundaries. Close off all of those other options, and then very thoughtfully and strategically determine when High Level rolls out another new whiz bang thing, do I want to give my customers access to that whiz bang thing? And if I do, how am I going to do it? How am I going to control it? What am I going to turn on and off? Just because it's there doesn't mean that you want to just throw it into the heap of stuff and give it to your customers. That will cause you all kinds of scalability issues. So you got to be thoughtful. You got to be strategic. Once you do that and you put those boundaries around something, though, it can become super, super, super scalable on that platform because you do get it all tightened up and locked down. And I can tell you, Howard, that list of permissions is going to get more and more granular because they're going to give you the ability to say, hey, Howard really wants these things lit up, these things turned off and never seen. And they're going to continue to make that better and better so that you can do that.
Okay. Thank you once again.
You bet. John Thomas says, yeah.
I was just going to add something that what Howard was talking about. I've actually started doing Loom videos on basic things that everybody's going to have to do, like a walkthrough in the conversations area, how to upload a simple, file, data sheet and everything within Go High Level, in my own voice or whatever.
Totally.
So I have a library I'm assembling because that's just going to be a natural progression. And I'm also, just for this conversation, I had an aha moment on my upper level package. I'm going to make a differentiation between my mid range and my upper range with actual support and training built into it.
Absolutely.
So, you get X amount, live, interactive, maybe weekly training, 1 hour a week, and that will reinforce the usability of the whole product and get them in it,
Yeah.
So,
yep.
like,
And
great
so, particularly, I want to say what Bart is talking about there with the Loom videos. This is why, I see all these people saying, oh, I'm going to buy all the white label, videos that somebody is creating, all these white label videos. And that's my easy button. Again, guys, if you're not going to have intimacy with your own product and you're not going to get in hands dirty with your customers and what they need and create the things that they need, forget about it. You're just not going to survive. You're not. I mean, Howard, as you said, I'm in here creating all this stuff and doing these calls and trying to, it's because I know it's a complicated platform and it needs that degree of attention to help you guys be successful with it. Right. And it's the same thing with your customers. Whatever you end up selling may not need as much hand holding. Right. But you gotta get in there and take ownership of that stuff. John says, what are your recommended methods of retaining the interest of your email newsletter participants without having a local website asset? Sometimes the local curated articles can be a bit boring. Okay, so John is referring to my local newsletter strategy that I highly recommend to anybody in the agency space, or honestly for just about any other business. They should have one of these going. But one of the strategies that I teach is to create a newsletter, and you don't have to create a bunch of content from scratch. You can just curate other things, other pieces of content that are already in your local market because you as a local consumer don't know all of the things going on in your market. And so just by acting as a curator of content, you can deliver a very high value newsletter. And so he's saying though, but oftentimes that stuff is boring. And that is true, John. And so without having you create new content, what I would say is that you can bake in some stuff that may not seem directly applicable to your newsletter, but is just entertaining and engaging. So it doesn't matter what newsletter I'm subscribed to. If they plop in some interesting human interest story, something funny, some sort of joke, some sort of, whatever, I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that. It just adds some interest. And the reason I know that this is pretty much universally true is because I've been publishing that content delivered service forever. And what everybody tells me is anytime we put just some sort of more like human interest thing in there, so almost all the content delivered content is about marketing. But we also mix in there like some human interest stories. Hey, somebody's dog, accidentally hopped on a train and went across the country and then saved some little kid's life and became a hero and, whatever. Like you hear those stories that are just kind of crazy. We find those stories and we'll put them in there as well. And those are the ones that always get the biggest response because they're human. It's human nature. So that's one thing, John. The other thing that I would say is although the content may be kind of boring, when you curate it, you can still modify the headlines and descriptions. So oftentimes their headlines and descriptions are terrible and don't take advantage of any good copywriting practices. So if you look at some best practices for headlines, get the attention and get the click, right? So if you can go and just modify the headlines as you're curating it and put a more attractive headline or a more attractive description on there, that's oftentimes all you need to do. Okay. Lorita says, so is it possible to have multiple SaaS agencies, SaaS snapshots with Pro? Is it possible to have multiple SaaS agencies, SaaS snapshots with Pro? Lorita, I'm not sure that I understand.
It just,
Go ahead.
I said maybe different niches is what she's referring to.
So Lorita, I don't know if you can unmute yourself. If you can, that might be helpful. We could chat real quick. But if I go into the agency and I go into the SaaS configurator, and maybe you've typed into different niches. Okay. So I think to answer your question here, Lorita, is right now you can only have 3 packages. So you're limited to that. So those packages, depending on how you've designed your services and who you're selling to and all that good stuff, could apply to multiple industries. So you could just have standard, pro, and premium. And depending again on what the service is, that standard, pro, and premium could apply to a bunch of different businesses. Your snapshot would obviously have to be kind of generic enough that it's more at the configurations level and less at the content level, because you couldn't have restaurant content if you're in here, if you're also selling to, dry cleaners or whatever. So there would be certain things that you would just limit what you're putting in your snapshot. And it would take what you're delivering more back to the tool level than a full system level, right? Because you're not delivering some of those additional assets that you could if you were just laser focused on one industry. So I think that answers the question, is that until you could build more packages here, you just have to be strategic about, okay, I've got 3 packages. I mean, you could technically have one package be for the restaurants, one package be for the dry cleaners, and one package be for the retail stores, right? So you could do it that way, but then you'd only have one package per niche. Or again, you could design a service that was more broadly applicable and you could offer that to all three of them then to multiple niches. So you got a handful of different approaches there, but I can tell you, Larita, that very soon you'll be able to design more packages, and so then that theoretically becomes a non-issue. Okay.
Hey, Mike, can I ask you a question
Yep.
on that configurator?
Yeah.
Let's say I wanted to sell just missed call text back for $47.
Yep.
I'm now locked into $97.
Yeah. Yep, you are right now on the builder. You are currently. I just had a good long conversation with Sean about this yesterday. Where I said, Sean, you're killing me. Why is there a $97 a month minimum? And right now, the reason there's a $97 a month minimum is because there's a bunch of knuckleheads that are out there selling high level for $47 lifetime and stuff like that, and causing problems in the community. And so what he's doing is he's locking that down by saying, hey, look, you got to charge $97 a month. I am talking to him about alternative approaches, but I can understand his reasoning for doing that. And so right now, yes, if you were taking advantage of the SaaS capabilities to deliver that, then yes, you are stuck with, I've got to charge at least 97.
But if I wanted to just offer a missed call text back, I could just build my own at $47.
Yep.
I guess until legal gets involved is what I read on the Facebook post that they were going back and forth on.
Oh, I wouldn't be too worried about that.
I'm not, because it's an open free market. I mean, like, for the love of God, I mean, we're not in.
Well, now, yeah, I mean that's not why I'm saying I wouldn't be worried about it. I'm saying I wouldn't be worried about it because I don't think that Sean, like, if you really are just offering missed call text back and you're locking down all the other capabilities, then
that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Yeah, the issue is that there are people out there that are essentially just reselling high level, but making it $47 lifetime, right? So people are getting access to the whole platform, and then it's
just sell components of it for different prices.
Exactly. So that's what I'm working with Sean on is, hey, look, we want people to be able to sell a foot in the door service that's just $47 a month to pull people into the rest of the capabilities. So he gets that. We just got to work on how we are structuring the system, a bit more. So just it'll be a little bit more time. So right now, George, what I would do is I would just set up a $47 package on my website, buy it through your normal transaction process, and then you have a very simple snapshot that when they come in, you just throw that snapshot into their account. It takes 2 seconds.
Okay. And on that note, do you recommend doing something like that? Like, I have my 3 different packages. I have a $297, $597, $997, and my $297 I was going to discount to $100, but I was going to start making content videos per piece and start offering those at $47 and maybe even dropping it down to $90 towards the end of my funnel to kind of get them in my service. Or is that just going way too low and getting, crap kind of clients?
No, it's not. I mean, that is the model that is working out there in the world. So look at what has allowed, if you listen to any of the interviews with the CEO or read any of the interviews with the CEO of HubSpot now, they'll tell you what has really exploded their business is that they now have these, free or super low cost offerings. And so the issue is, George, is that really you're almost just thinking of it as like a lead magnet that you're getting paid to offer, right? It's like, okay, I'm at least getting this customer on board. You still, as much as possible, want to qualify that customer to make sure that you're not just getting the junk customer, as you said, right? And so what you could do, if you look at this, so they've got this starter. Okay, this is not their ideal customer. These are their ideal customers. But they're saying, hey, let's give you a way to get on board here, right? And so this one's just $45 a month versus $800 versus $3,200, right? So these are really their customers. But what they've done is they've locked down the capabilities. And then what you could do, George, which I highly recommend, you have that plan on your site. And then before you actually let them buy it, have a little survey that they go through. So step one, create your account. And then as they go through to create their account, you're qualifying them with some survey questions. And then if they answer those questions wrong, you boot them out and say, hey, sorry, you don't qualify for this plan. Right. So if there are things that you can determine and say, hey, that's really not a good customer for me. That's like a one-person business that I don't want. Then based on their answers, you could just literally boot them out of the process. Just because it's available doesn't mean you have to make it available to everyone.
Okay, good. That's the direction we were going in. So, and also the websites, like what you mentioned. I have a kid from High Level building some pretty nice websites, that I'm going to offer at $97 a month. And I already have work with chiropractors, 3 chiropractors that their websites are so bad. Like they're so bad
Yeah.
that I wouldn't even want to be associated. I wouldn't want them to give me money because their websites are so bad.
Yeah. 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 No, absolutely. All right. Vince says, Mike, can I ask you a question about High Level's email capabilities? Yes. Yes. Go for it, Vince.
Yeah, Mike. A couple calls ago, you had talked about the capabilities of the emails part of High Level not being too robust. I kind of asked the other day on the call you did with Sean, and all he really showed was an email builder. Is this basically at the level where it's just a newsletter system for our clients to use, nothing more than that?
No, it's actually, the issue is not that it's not robust. It's that it's got poor UI for, and let me be very specific. And Sean, I just had a conversation with Sean about this yesterday too. And he's like, man, you're just nitpicky. He's like, I don't get complaints about this from anybody else. So this could just be my issue purely. But I use Drip, I use ConvertKit, I use MailChimp, and I use High Level for email. I use all of those systems. Okay. There are some basic user interface issues about High Level's email system that for me as a very high volume email sender, right? And that's reality. I'm probably much higher volume and much more sophisticated in the things that I'm trying to do than 99% of small businesses will ever be, right? And so this is from my perspective. It's got some user interface issues that are just dumb, that there's just no reason for them. It's clear that whoever built the system put in all of the capabilities, but just did not have the experience from a user interface perspective to say, hey, Mike would want some folders here for all of these things so that he can find what the heck he's trying to work with. And instead there's no folders, and it's just this big long run on list that, again, if you're somebody who has 10 emails, not a problem. For me, I'll send out 10 emails today, so it's a problem for me. So it's stuff like that. And it's actually pretty darn simple fixes. It's just a matter of them, prioritizing because they have so many things going on. So if there's something specific, I can try and show you, but it's a little bit hard. I mean, I can show you the things that bug me. But really, it's a very nice email builder. Very nice. I mean, it's beautiful. They've done a great job with it. And you can put together, autoresponder campaigns that are completely robust and have, all kinds of dynamic capabilities. So, I mean, it is an absolutely legitimate system. It just has some usability issues that drive me crazy.
Well, my concern is if the UI is kind of clunky, then we're going to be hand holding our clients that want to take it to a little bit higher level of the UIs that they're used to in Constant Contact or Aweber, where everything kind of flows and it just makes logical sense. And I don't want to handhold, and I don't want to have to produce videos to teach them.
Yeah.
So
if you are selling it, and this is why, Vince, I tell everybody not to sell High Level as a tool, but to sell it as a system. If you are selling it as a tool right now, and the buyer is somebody who knows the other tools and is comparing just on an email capability versus the other tools' emails capability, then a sophisticated user of those other systems could be frustrated. But again, I'm telling you that, and I'm also telling you that Sean is telling me that he is not hearing people complain like I'm complaining. So I think it really depends on who you're selling it to, and who it is using it. So I think that's an important distinction to keep in mind. My recommendation to you is that you just get in there and play with it. It's the only way that you're going to really know, hey, is Mike just being nitpicky, or is there something here that's like really a killer for me, or can I work around it with no problem? My guess is that most people can work around it with no problem. Otherwise, Sean would be hearing a lot more complaints. So
I just don't know why they didn't add folders in the very beginning. Like that one little thing with like
I know
it's
it's
crazy.
little things like that, and I will tell you, and this is not meant to be disrespectful in any way at all. Most of their development is done in India. And my experience with developers from India is that they are incredible at the technology and the logic of it and all that stuff. And design is a secondary thought. It's a little bit more of an afterthought. And so that and the reason I can say that again is just from my experience. I've hired a lot of developers, and so I think that just that just happens sometimes. They want to make sure that the capability is there. And they do an amazing job with that. And then sometimes the UI part of it, has to come trickling in later. And
Kind of like Google with their funky tools.
Exactly.
The engineering mindset doesn't work to the
Exactly.
full
If you're
population.
right, if you're a PhD in data science, Google is the best thing that's ever happened to you. If you're me, I don't take advantage of 1/1000th of the capability of the Google platform just because I'm like, I don't even know what this thing means. I have to hire somebody to give me an analysis, drives me nuts. Sarah says, is there a best practice method when importing a snapshot? Should I first create a new sandbox, import the snapshot into account, and only configure one account and push the snapshot updates to the snap? Yes, that's exactly right, Sarah. So yes, you should create a dummy account, import a snapshot, make sure it's what you want, and then start using it for real. And let's say that you download one of my snapshots, you like 75% of it, but don't like 25% of it. You can delete the 25%, create your own snapshot of the 75%, and then start using that as a snapshot, of your own, right? So yeah, once you understand snapshots, you'll realize, one, you always want to have a test place to put them first, a little sandbox, a little burner account that you're just going to delete once you're done messing with things. And then two, you can take various assets from various snapshots, put them together in the way that you want them, create your own snapshot in the system, and then start using it. So Kathleen says, do you have any campaigns, e.g. email and SMS messages for the Welcome Mat service? You mean to sell them to sales campaigns, Kathleen? Or do you mean campaigns that are follow-up campaigns once somebody has been welcomed?
Follow-up campaigns once they've been welcomed.
I did not create those only because I thought each business would be pretty different. So it's just really that initial message, and that's it.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Let's see here. Bob. Amen to the snapshot clutter. Yes. Ricardo, yep, says the same thing. Sam says, is there a replay for the session where you discussed how you use Instagram? Yeah, you're talking about the media sales training that I did. That replay is in the local newsletter profits membership area, and it's in the local media launch accelerator membership area. So that replay is in both of those. Okay. Let's see here. Lots of good questions, gang. Kathleen says, I built a couple websites to make sure I knew how to do them. I used high-level templates for 2 of them and only learned later that clicking on the logo to go back to the homepage linked to the template homepage. Oops. Yeah, there are some things that you have to get in there and and understand. Yeah, for sure. Timothy, do you have another question? Sorry, I'm just seeing your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question. I had a prospect the other day who signed up with Podium because they're giving away their web chat module for free up to 30 chats.
Yep.
So what is your strategy to overcome that?
My strategy to overcome that is one of the things that I'm working with Sean is to create an activity-based, usage-based billing capability in the system. And really that capability is already there. What I'm working with him is to create a policy issue that he is okay with high level customers. So what he's saying, what I'm saying is just exactly what I was talking about with George earlier. Right now, he's got a $97 a month minimum to try and head off some of the craziness that's going on. And I said, well, if you didn't have a $97 a month minimum, but instead you had a usage based thing, then theoretically I could offer something for free. And then as the usage grows, the price will grow. So there's no way that somebody can just be giving away the system for free. It's like to use the system, you're gonna have to send messages, email, and SMS. And so your billing could go up based on that usage. So that is what we're working on. I don't expect that will be very long to get out the door.
So the reason I'm asking in the meantime, should we just manually track it? I have a partner, but someone who wants to work with me as an affiliate or as a reseller, who is currently a Podium guy getting the web chat for free. 30 chats a month. He's like, well, I mean, I either have to give it to him for free, but give it to him for free. His customers are also using it for free, right now. So I either give it to him for free so I can match their functionality without being able to track the limits, or
but you can track the limits. So let's go in here. So if I'm in a business, if I'm not using the SaaS configurator, I can still set up. Oh shoot, hold on. This is a SaaS customer. Hold on real quick. Let me go to. Don't think I've set up SaaS for this one. Yeah, so if I were to go in here and set up their, let's see here, where would I do this? Hold on. Hold on, I'm trying to think of where I would do this. So I could set them up with a Twilio number. Am I doing that at the agency level? I think I'm doing it at the agency level. I could set them up with a Twilio number and give them a package of minutes that includes some credits and then have them bill using the rebilling capability, the Twilio rebilling capability. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't have to be at the Snap or at the SaaS level. So here, gosh darn it, Timothy, I'm gonna have to play around again to figure out exactly where I'm trying to be. But for each individual customer, unless they took that away and made it only a capability of SaaS, I could set up that customer with my Twilio rebilling, and then you don't have to track anything. It will automatically bill that customer the way that you want them billed. Does that make sense?
yeah, I know where you're going, but that's not going to limit the web chat engagement, because that's just through the chat script. It's not through Twilio, except for the auto. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, you're right.
No, yeah, it's through Twilio. Everything, yeah, it's through Twilio.
Yeah, that's right. Once they convert, it's done through Twilio.
Yep.
So Mike,
So
everybody, all my customers just pay for their own messaging. Like I let them know up front, like I don't know, $25 per 1,000 messages or something like that. Is that not the easier way to do it? Just so I'm like not trying to worry about usage and stuff like that, or
Well, that is
I know Podium's like $450 a month or something, right? Something crazy.
well, that is usage based, right? You're just
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what we're saying is that they would just get billed based on how many messages they're going through. So yeah, for every 50 messages, you're getting billed $100 or whatever it is. So that can be done through the system through that rebilling capability, Tim. So you could set up the web chat for the welcome mat for free. Hey, it's $0. And if you have less than 100 messages a month, it's going to be $0. So theoretically, they could use it for 50 messages a month and you'd be paying for it because you've included those credits in there. But if that's a customer acquisition approach that works for you, I mean, it's going to be a very small amount that you're paying. And so if that's a customer acquisition approach that works for you, then great. That's what I would do personally. I would set up an account where I know I'm going to eat the cost of some messages, but it's so low that I don't care because it's getting me, people getting businesses onto my services.
So is that the welcome mat? I must have missed that part.
Yeah.
Okay, I got this new puppy, so I've been like trying to make sure you all over the house.
That's awesome. Sarah asked, do you give your customers access to Go High Level CRM or does it depend on the niche? Yeah, it totally depends. It depends on the niche and it depends on the service. I personally love services where you're locking things down as much as possible and only giving them access to what they absolutely need to have access to. Personally, I think that to me, those are the most scalable and nice services. As High Level gets more refined and easier to use and all that good stuff, then you can start making that more widely available to your customers. But I love services where you kind of lock it down. I would not go into your service design and delivery assuming that you have to give people access to the whole platform like that. Let's see here. So Jim says lowering prices is always a race to the bottom. Ricardo says it'll become a commodity. Get rid of those $47 low quality, low value riffraffs. Those are the people running our industry. Yeah, he was not that. Those are not referring to what you were referring to, George. Those are referring to the people who are selling the whole system for $47 lifetime and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where they were going with that. I thought it was like just okay. Everything's got to be $97.
Yeah. Yep. Question. Yes, Bart?
Can you explain how integrations work with Zapier with Go High Level? Because I'm kind of running into some questions and the niche I'm starting to interact with. They have applicant tracking systems, and I'm trying to, figure out how that works. And I haven't gone there yet, so just wanted your input on that.
Yeah, that's one where I am not really as educated as I would like to be. I have somebody on my team that is my Zapier wizard. But what we do is that we can pass. So in particular, we pass any information using tags through Zapier very easily. So I'm a big tag guy. So what we do is we use the system so that anytime this tag is applied in this account, we take this data and move it over to that account, right? Where it's connected through Zapier. So that is the thing that I know for sure you can do very successfully, very easily. If you have two tag-based systems, then you can do that. But Zapier is much more sophisticated than that. So it can say, as long as you can connect Zapier from one system to the other system, you can pretty much move just about anything that you want to be able to move based on trigger activities. And it's up to you to just go in there and create the little recipe in Zapier. So the recipe is very much like the triggers in here, where you'd say, hey, if X happens in this account, grab this data and move it over to this account. And if X data happens to it, or X happens to this account, do it the other way. It's
Okay.
it works very, very much like triggers.
This is kind of related, and I'm still. I went through this with you, I think, a week or so ago. I'm not too keen on Stripe, and I have my own merchant account and everything in the gateway, and I'm a WooCommerce fan. I don't know why, I've just been in it a long time. I wonder if there's a way. I mean, I don't mind using Stripe, but I'm just like maybe the initial, payment. Just I know you have to have Stripe to access the SaaS plans, right? To set all that up.
Yeah.
Have you looked into, I know you're a ThriveCart fan. Have you looked into maybe, once they make the initial payment, I wonder if there's a way that you can like make the recurring in your merchant account, like maybe some sort of redirect or something. I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to do that or not. I just I had a really bad experience with Stripe once, and I just so I just kind of wanted to try to figure something out there, but
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
come down the pike.
yeah, I mean, what you can do is you can use ThriveCart to create recurring packages and to sell those recurring packages through ThriveCart, connect it up to whatever you want to connect it up to. The issue would be then I don't think you would be able to do the auto provisioning back to high level. I don't think so at this point. Will they open that up and make that more capable? Maybe, probably. Yeah, probably. But right
It's just
now,
a problem that might have to go through later or whatever. Right now it's a small problem. It's not a big problem, but if we got 50 to 100 clients or whatever, I want to make sure, So anyway, okay. Well, thanks, man.
Sure.
I just wanted to see if you had any input on that. Thank you.
Sure. Jim says, please tell me what the welcome mat service is. Jim, the welcome mat service is just my my language, my marketing spin on putting the chat widget on somebody's website and charging them for that. So put that.
I like.
Yeah, put that. Yeah, just put the chat widget on there so that they collect leads on their site. Just a very nice service that every small business should have, and 98% of them, when you go to their websites, don't. Almost every small business is terrible at capturing leads and building their list. So it's a very nice introductory offer to set that up and activate it for them. You are activating a number, so they're going to have a Twilio number now. So now it's a very easy transition to say, hey, look, there's a lot of other things that we can do now that you see that working, that we can do with this capability that we set up to start generating you a lot more leads, create follow-up systems, follow-up campaigns. Like it's a very nice kind of gateway drug to introduce a lot of other very powerful services,
Retargeting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it's
They call other than drug dealers that say user.
yeah. That's right. Yeah. It's a Twilio number. Yep.
So,
You wrap the Google My Business.
I
Message.
put a Twilio number out for XYZ. It's on their website or wherever. And do I own the number or do they own it?
So here's the deal. So this is what's really nice about the welcome mat service is nobody has to see the number. So that's one of the great things about this service is because they go and they fill out that chat widget and it's using a number on the back end, but that number is never published anywhere because that conversation is a harder one to have with your small business customer. If you go to the small business customer and say, hey, you should use a Twilio number, and they go, well, wait a minute, I've had this number published everywhere. And then you got to explain to them, well, blah, blah, blah. It's just, again, it's complexity. And that slows down the sale. Versus the welcome mat, they never see the number. They don't even know that it is a number, right? But they've got a number there, and it's starting to funnel those conversations using that number back into the system. Awesome. Look, on that note, everybody, I have to go. We've been here a little over an hour and a half. I just realized, and I have to go pick up my daughter at school. So it is time for me to run. And thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Always appreciate it. Appreciate your time and your attention, being a part of the community. Office hours are every other week. So I hope to see you on the next one. And in between now and then, we'll see you in our Facebook groups or on other calls and all that good stuff. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.